Welcome back. We are now at lesson 17B. In the next preview assignment and in the next class, you will need to be able to identify trends from data and then communicate those trends in a paragraph. So we're going to start with analyzing a rubric for quantitative paragraph writing. It mentions that the rubric has 5 sections that are worth 1 to 4 points each for a highest possible grade of 20. In other words, 5 times the highest, 20. Your instructor will provide you with a rubric, or you can find it in the preview assignment in the question 2 link that they provide. Right now, let's go look at the actual rubric. So let's notice what it mentioned. It said that there are 5 sections: math competency and communication, purpose, reasoning and problem solving, organization and style, presentation, spelling, and grammar. 5 sections. Each section has a 1 through 4. 4 being the best score, described after each 4, all the way down to 1, and it is described what a 1 looks like. So question 1 is going to ask us to answer the following questions about analyzing the rubric. It's going to ask under different sections, what's a certain score? Under the same section, what's another score? And it's going to ask a couple of more. So what I encourage you to do is to hit pause, go ahead and print or have the rubric up on your screen or your phone somewhere where you can look at it and write and analyze what it is giving for each score. And do that first, and then come back and we'll walk through these together. So make sure you do have your rubric with you and that you've already answered these questions, and let's double check them together. So it says first, under this section of mathematical competency and communication, what are the criteria to get a score of 2? It says some incorrect evidence or conclusions. Okay, that's a 2. Under the same section, what are the criteria to receive a 3? So 3 steps it up a notch. You need mathematical evidence and, not or, and conclusions. They are correct, but not clearly communicated to the general audience. So good stuff, just not well communicated. Part C says, under the 4th section, which is organization and style, what are the criteria to receive a score of 4? It says the paragraph has a logical flow with an intro, an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. There's one more question, and it is on part D. It says, under the same section, what are the criteria to receive a 1? So part D, to receive a 1 under organization and style, the paragraph rambles, and does not even address the topic. Continuing on with the lesson, and we answered D previously. For the rest of the questions, refer to the following population or pyramid chart that we're about to look at. You're also going to use the chart for the preview assignment, and it can be found by clicking on the link listed below in the references. And also make a note that the link below is different than the one that's in your preview, and it appears that that one is broken. So it will be very good to use the one at the bottom of your page for preview 17B in this class. they're asking us to choose population pyramid graph under that select report, and then choose year 2014 to get the country United States. What you get is what we're about to look at next. Here's our chart. I'm going to shrink it just a little bit. And then we have some questions about the chart. Beginning with, it says, read the following sentence written by a student who is attempting to explain the data represented by the lowest bar, which would be that one or that one. The lowest red bar, so that's not this one. It's the one over here shown in the chart. And so before we read what they're talking about, let's notice what's going on in our chart. This is the United States. It's the year 2014. Female are on one side, male are on the other. And then you have these bars. You have an age group, and you have a population in millions. So this looks like 1, 2, 3 million, 4, 5, 6 million, 7, 8, 9 million, 10-ish, 11, 12-ish million. And so we're sitting about right here at the 10 million mark. The age group is 0 to 4. So let's read what they wrote. In 2018, okay, the United Arab Emirates had approximately 6 million females ages 0 through 5 years of age. Okay, so part A, using the criteria for the mathematical competency and communication section, would you score this as a 1 or 2? 1 is incorrect evidence and conclusions, and 2 is some incorrect evidence or conclusions. Well, it's not 2018, it's 2014. It's not the United Arab Emirates, it's the United States. It's not 6 million, it's closer to 10 million. Yay, it is female. However, it's not 0 through 5, it's 0 through 4. So I would go ahead and say it's not some, it's all. It contains all or incorrect evidence and conclusions, not some, it's just a whole lot of. So moving on to part B, rewrite the student's sentence above to improve it to a score of 3 or 4. And just looking at the rubric, a score of 3 would be mathematical evidence and conclusions are correct, but not clearly communicated to the general audience. And then a 4, which is what we want, mathematical evidence and conclusions are correct and clearly communicated to the general audience. So this is definitely where you need to hit pause. You definitely need to go on to part B, and you need to write down a sentence that's a great sentence that has 2014, United States, female, ages 0 to 4, around, above, below, or at 10 million in population. So pause, come back, and we'll talk through a possible example. So something you may have written on part B could be the following. In 2014, the United States had approximately 10 million females between the ages of 0 through 4 years of age. So let's get some more practice on writing with the rubric and getting the highest scores that we can possibly get. Looking at question 3, it asks or says for us to read the following paragraph written by a student using the 2014 United States population pyramid chart about the information given for females and males ages 0 through 4. In other words, it's the lowest red and blue bars on the chart. And so it says, well, I'm not sure what to write about. There's this chart and it has some bar things on it, and it's a little confusing. It reminds me of a chart I saw once in my history class, but not really. I can see that there are males on one side of the chart and females on the other side. There are some that are around birth to 4 years old. My little sister just turned 3. I need to get her a gift. You need to use the criteria from the organization and style section of the rubric. And would you score this as a 1 or 2? The 1 is paragraph rambles, does not address topic. 2, there is an introduction, a body, a conclusion, are not, oh wait, the introduction, body, and the conclusion are not easily discernible, or a paragraph is significantly too short or too long. So without changing screens, this is definitely a 1 because the paragraph does not really address the topic. That moves us on to question 4. You go ahead and look at question 4. You're going to write a paragraph trying to make it into a 4 on 4. And then we're going to walk through some ideas on how to organize and how to write that paragraph. But first, you need to try it, and you need to see what you like about it, what you need some help on, and just how it's going. You do question 4, and I'll be back in just a second to work with you. So now that you've read through and written something on question 4, let's look at it together. Write a few sentences about the males and the females ages 0 through 4. List their approximate populations. Make a statement of comparison about those populations. And then contrast those populations with the populations of males and females ages 90 through 94. Aim to write a paragraph that scores a 4 in each element of the rubric. So I'd like to go ahead and read the rubric 4s. Before I do, let's do, try to get a plan. Let's try to map out some information before we look at what we would want to write. Like, we're going to write about males, their ages 0 to 4. And when we look at their population, it looks like it's a little bit over 10 million. We're also going to write about females, ages 0 to 4. And when we look at their population, they look like they're just a little under 10 million. It just looks like the guys have a little bit more population than the girls. And then let's look at the 90 to 94 year old people. And that population for the guys is just under 1 million. And then for the females, ages 90 to 94, it's about a little over 1 million. And so we're going to have to compare and contrast and write some thoughts about these coherently. And so one thing that we can notice about them is that males had more in this age bracket and males have less in this age bracket. So something we might note is that the populations switched. We can definitely note and report out about the millions. We can definitely report that the early ones are like 10 times the amount of 90 to 94s. And you fill in the blanks. You can write anything else that you notice to compare and contrast. But right now, I want to go look at all of the 4s. I want to read those and get them in my mind, R-E-A-D, get those in my mind. And then let's write an answer that follows the 4s. So just reading on the rubric, all of the 4s. The first one, when we write this, we want our mathematical evidence and conclusions to be correct and clearly communicated. So I think we're on a great start. We've got correct evidence. Next, the paragraph contains a complete comparison contrast of the two halves of the chart. And so we're looking not only at both sides, which looking at both sides is going to mean that we are looking at the male side as compared to the female, male as compared to female. But then we're also going to be looking at the ages. How does this group compare to that group? The next 4, paragraph contains a complete justification for mathematical conclusions and does not contain opinions. You just report the facts, just the facts. The paragraph has a logical flow with an introduction, a body, and a conclusion, and then the paragraph is neatly prepared with correct spelling and grammar. So now, if you have not hit pause and you have not written anything, please do. Go write something and then come back and I'll read a sample answer. So a sample answer could be something like, the population of males ages 0 through 4 in the United States in 2014 was approximately 10 million. Similarly, the population of females appears to be just under 10 million. So we got this one. In contrast, the populations of males ages 90 through 94 was just under 1 million, whereas the female population was just over 1 million. So we talked about them, and we also used in contrast. The population ages 90 through 94 represents about 1/10, and I said it the other way, this is about 1/10 of that population. So the population ages 90 to 94 represents about 1/10 of the 0 through 4 population. And although males outnumbered females in the early stages, women outnumbered males in the latter stages. So we did another one comparing the two sections. So there we have a great paragraph. It's going to get lots of 4s. And right now, that means we're finished with lesson 17B. You know to go look at your syllabus. You know to go see if you have more to do. And if you do, keep going. And if you don't, do that happy dance. And I'll see you on another video.